So thank you, Ambassador Pinder, and Prime Minister, Excellencies, welcome all to this diplomatic week. And I want to say a special welcome to the Secretary General, who's come all the way from Guyana to be with us here this morning. Today, we are Prime Minister in a war. It's not a hot war, it's not a cold war, it's a wet war, because our country, 80% of the land is within 1 meter of the sea. And they've told us that if nothing changes, we're headed for either being climate refugees, as you like to say, or a watery grave. So your charge to us was the number one foreign policy issue for the Bahamas and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is that of climate change. And we don't have troops to fight a hot war, but those are your troops. And as they were playing the national anthem and they were standing at attention, I said, Prime Minister, look at your troops, your generals, and their charge is to go out and fight the war against the rising tide and climate change. So you have your orders this morning, and as Margaret Thatcher would say, or Queen Victoria, whoever said it, failure is not a possibility. I told the diplomats this morning, Prime Minister, that I was in New York and had the opportunity to speak about 3 weeks ago to the Explorers Club. And they put up a slide, and the slide shows what New Providence, the island, would look like in the year 2070. And they said, if nothing happens to reverse this trend of the rising floodwaters, 30% of our island will be underwater by the year 2070. And if nothing happens then, by the year 2100, 70% of New Providence will be underwater. So, when you tell people that the fight on climate change is existential, that's what we mean. And some countries in the Pacific have already started to negotiate with other countries to move their populations because of the rising sea. I want to thank the Director General and Mrs. Ali and Ron Pinder for organizing this year's event. And I point out that I'm especially proud of the relationship with the Director General because her father was my headmaster at St. Augustine's and her mother was my English teacher. And when I post things online, I have to be careful what I write because she's still correcting my English today. But I'm glad that Jerusha is the Director General, and she brings a fresh perspective to our work. And further, I'd like to thank Rhoda Jackson, who served as Director General up until this year. She's now newly married and moved to the United States, but we are honoring her during this week for her work and leadership as Director General, and I thank her once again for that work. I want to thank also my cabinet colleagues for their broad support and firm support of the work of the Foreign Ministry and what we do. It's not often easy to understand precisely what we do because most times our population only pays attention to the Foreign Ministry when they lose their passport overseas. And we are often reduced to saying that what we do is on the cocktail circuit. Well, I'm a teetotaler, so I can assure you that I'm not on the cocktail circuit. But the work which they do is hard, long hours, and they do it well. And I want you to give them a round of applause for the work they do. Yesterday at Mass, the Catholic Archbishop gave a very erudite explanation of the work of diplomacy. The Prime Minister has just come back from a visit with the Pope at Vatican City, and there was an agreement between the Vatican and ourselves to work together on the issues of climate change, particularly as COP28 is coming up in November. But if you did not get a chance to hear it or read it, contact the Catholic Diocesan Office and get a copy of the address, because I think it is very telling about diplomacy and its role and how it is designed to resolve problems for humanity. So thank you, Archbishop Pinder, for your welcome yesterday at church, and for your remarks. Finally, I want to make a pitch, because we're also on a campaign. And the campaign is for us to be re-elected to Category C of the International Maritime Organization. And I hope each of your countries who are visiting us today will be able to support us in that election when it takes place in November. And the Minister of Transport paid me to say it. I didn't charge her too much money, but she's here. Can you just stand so they can see you? And thank you. But as a maritime nation, we think it is important for us to be on the Council. We've been on it for several decades, and we are asking you to renew our mandate, and we appreciate your support. So thank you all for coming. It's great for you to be here. I look forward to a week of the dialogue. I thank all the Bahamian people for the support which they give the ministry and the broader support of the government. I acknowledge the representative of the Leader of the Opposition, and I thank you all again once generally. Bless you all.
Thank you, Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, in the Bahamas, we have a number of traditions.